Good evening, everyone. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Buxton's Selectmen's Meeting for June 5th, 2024. I'll call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next order of business is the approval of prior meeting minutes for May 29th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That is 3 with 2 abstentions. Next order of business is the reading of the bids for paving and crack sealing. So I think we're doing, you want to do crack sealing first, or?
That's what you said.
Yep. Oh, you cut it up. All right. Boy. So this is a crack sealing bid for the project 2024. Price per gallon, so Pro Seal LLC out of Waterville, Maine, and their price per gallon is $41.70 a gallon. So that's that one. Put that over here. Let's put that back in there, I guess. And the next bid is by Coastal Road Repair LLC, and their price per gallon is $25 per gallon, with a minimum of 300 gallons per shift. No, it's $26. It was a 5. They put it to 20, so it's $26 per gallon. So that is the bid from them. So those are their sealing bids. Now we'll move on to paving bids. All right, the first bid we got is from Allstate Construction Incorporated. It's $112 per ton. This is just references. Insurance. So the next bid is from Shaw Brothers Construction, and their price is $103.50 per ton. $103.50. The next bid we have is from Dayton Sand and Gravel, and their bid is $93 per ton. Yep, so those are the bids. So the board will discuss it and then make a decision. And so we'll move on with our meeting. Discussions that were held between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. this evening. At 4 o'clock, we had a department head meeting. just to go, the public work is, they're all done with brush. They're currently digging, probably putting in culverts, things of that nature at this point. The fire department has one of the students that might be leaving a little early, and just, you know, again reiterating that, you know, we're having difficulty filling positions within our fire rescue in the fire department, so he did bring that up again as a concern, and we've stated that in the past, and so that is a continued problem that we're having. Police, they hired a new dispatcher. A few weeks ago, we had an incident in our community where last year, there was a 4 state trooper police officers that got run over by a vehicle. Cole Bernhardt was a Buxton police officer that arrived on the scene and basically helped one of the state troopers there, potentially saving his life. And so they're giving him a life-saving award at the academy, at the State Troopers Academy, and so he will be receiving that award. And so that was the police's update. Our clerk, where we do have a parade coming up. Does anybody remember the date of the parade? August 5th, is it, or 8th?
4th, I thought they said.
4th? So if people want to be in the parade, you want to put something in the parade, you can reach out to John Myers, our clerk, and get on the list. So that is moving forward. Also, we are starting to sell some of the coupons for the transfer station because there will be cashless at the transfer station starting July 1st, and they did sell some of those. And also starting on Wednesday, July 1st, the town hall will be opening up at 8:30 in the morning on Wednesdays. We haven't been opening up till 11:30, but we're starting this split shift at trial basis starting on July 1st. And so that was his...
Now it's just that's just the front office.
Just the front office, that's correct, just the front office, yep. Voter registration, we had 3 new voters. That means people that never voted before and started voting. We had new that came from out of town. We do have 6 deceased and 1 person who moved away. And so that was what our voter registration had. The rec department, we hired a new supervisor. He's working out really well. They are fully staffed, and they do have 10 trips planned, and all the trips are full. So that is, you know, coming up this summer for the rec department. Transfer station, we do have a lot of brush there. Public Works has been down there cleaning things up. Some of it was mixed with dirt. They're straightening that out, and so they are going to be making room for more brush. And then we've been getting a lot of tires. People have been buying properties apparently with tires, and so that has become things that have been coming in this week. The treasurer, we just had, you know, a better process on credit card billing and better tracking of hardware stores. Those are the types of things. And then with code, everything is running smooth, but this coming election on June 15th, the town will be voting to put in an electrical inspector in our community. Currently, you do not need electrical permit if you're building a house or remodeling, and this year you'll be voting on if you want to have an electrical inspector in our community, which then would in turn require people to get a electrical permit moving forward, like you would a building permit and a plumbing permit. We don't have electrical permits, but if the town votes this in, then moving forward, we will need an electrical permit, and our Pat McKenna, our code enforcement officer, is hoping that we all support that. So that was our department head meeting. At 5 o'clock, we had Mark Woodruff, who came in just talking about the closure of Bar Mills Dam and the study that Bar Mills was, Brookfield was supposed to do this summer, last summer, which they weren't able to do because of the high rain amount last summer. They were hoping to do it this summer, and so we're just trying to give a letter. We're hoping that the Brookfield will notify us when they're going to do that, so the people that live on the river can look for potential hazards or things that they might find issues once the dam is removed. And so that's what we want to find out, when they'll do that, so we can notify the public on that piece of it. That lasted from 5 to 5:15. At around 5:15, we went into executive session, 1 MSRA 405-6E, legal. That lasted till 5:30. At 5:30, Greg Hefferman came in. And so, just like everything else, Greg has not been sheltered from the increasing cost of dumping fees. And so we have not kept up with the cost that it costs the community that use the transfer station what it costs the rest of the taxpayers to get rid of it. So we adjusted pricing. We're not looking to make money down the transfer station, but we should be breaking even. So that was the conversation we had. So you will be seeing some increases down at the transfer station, because we need to just break even down there, and we're not doing that. So that's a discussion we have, and so I think people should be aware that that is coming, and we will be raising rates on items. And at that lasted till about 6:15 or so. We had a general conversation, and at 6:30, Bill Hall, our treasurer, came in, and we discussed. He did some research on the companies that we're looking to hire to reassess our dams, and so he just did some calling on people that have used them in the state of Maine in the past and got recommendations, and so that was a discussion we had about that. So that finished our discussions between 4 and 7. Moving on to review of correspondence. We had an email from MMA, Member Engagement Survey, New Managers Training, HR Management Conference. We had an email from MTCMA BOD nominations. Email from Maine Power Options Climate Action Plan, May newsletter. We had an email from UWSME 211 feedback request. We had an email from MDHHS Hurricane Preparedness for Public Water System, and then we had an email from MD6 DOB meeting agenda. So that is our correspondence. Moving on to projects and issues. Chad?
Yes, so I was talking with our code enforcement officer, Patty McKenna, where there's been a couple of local health officer issues, mostly turning out to be in tenant-landlord disputes. So we worked with her on that to help her with that, and also had a brief conversation earlier this week with our fire chief.
Thank you. Frank?
Nothing, me, I was out of town all last week.
Okay. Tom?
Not a lot. I did meet with Kevin Kimball and a resident on Hurland Smith Road today. They were concerned about a culvert that the town was replacing, and didn't like the way that Kevin wanted to do it, but I think once he talked through it and explained to the resident how he was going to do everything, everybody was happy in the end, so that worked out well. That's it for me.
Okay. David?
I was over to the transfer station. Foreman at Public Works has been over there cleaning up, trying to get it more organized for the brush, making sure we're in compliance with DEP. And talked to Kevin Kimball just about upcoming projects and what we had planned for the summer and when Santa was coming. That's about it.
Good. Thank you, David. So this week I did speak to the DOT member and discuss some concerns that we had about the rerouting of the trucks down 35 and turning at Bonnie Eagle High School, Route 35 area there. They are going to be, he's in charge of the rerouting, but the traffic engineers are going to go down there, maybe push the stop signs back, and see what they can do to make that a little more user-friendly down there once the trucks start going in that direction. I also did reach out to Heather Printup, who is the liaison for Poland Springs. I haven't caught up with her yet. I am going to reach out with Jack, the selectman of Hollis here, and set a meeting up with both boards to see if we can kind of discuss, hopefully, rerouting most of Poland Springs trucks outside of our community, hopefully up through Kennebunk if possible, or any other way besides coming through town. If we can alleviate some of that, that would be great. One of the things we will be requesting, I think Kevin Kimball, our Public Works Director, was to see if the state would help us maybe with salt and sand on Route 22, considering there'll be more truck traffic there. Maybe we should salt that a little more, and so see if we'd be willing to help us with that. The second conversation I had this week was with our attorney, and just talking about our strategy moving forward here with the assessment of these dams. The one company that the board has felt would be the best company to assess the dams is quite expensive. It's, you know, somewhere around $240,000. And so that's kind of the price. We were hoping around 60, so we really were off base on that number. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And so the discussion will be made this week. We're hoping to call this company to see if they can negotiate a little bit on that price. But we need to have the dams reassessed. And so this is the issue that we're having with Brookfield. We've settled with Brookfield. We gave him an abatement of $200,000 spread over 5 years, $40,000 a year, with a lock-in, well, not a lock-in, but an agreed-upon assessment of $35,245 starting for year 2024, which is what is currently assessed for now. Brookfield was looking for an assessment of $22,500,000. So that's, you know, a $13 million discrepancy between our assessment and what their assessment was. And so at this point here, we gave them, because of the approach that our assessor took to assess the dams, it really wasn't the most desirable approach, and that's what they are contesting. And our attorneys felt that we would probably lose in a court of law if we went to court on that. And so we settled on the appraisal of not the appraisal, but we settled on the abatement and the assessment amount of $35,245,000, because if we settled on the $22 million, that became our new starting point. That means that the following year, when we say, you know, it's worth, you know, $38 million, they could say, well, hold on, you agreed that it was worth $22,500,000 2 years ago. So that was a dilemma that we were in this week, not this week, but over the last several months. That's what we've been negotiating. And so moving forward now, we need to come up with a new assessment of our 3 dams. The company that we felt would do the best job, his current price is $240,000 to do that.
Can you explain, Mark, the
ahead.
60,000 we got that we thought was gonna be an accurate number was a number that another consultant had given us, but that was only for one method of appraisal, which dams, they used 3 methods, one being an income-based revenue basis, so how much money the dam produces, and then there's a replacement value, and then what was the other one?
Market value.
Market value. So it's a lot more timely to gather all 3 assessments as opposed to one, and a lot more work to do a couple of them. So we were he did educate us a lot and said, when you go to the Board of Appeal or the assessment board with the state, you need all the information you can get. So yeah, he's more money, but we also have to get an apples to apples comparison on the other assessors to see if he's really that much higher or if they're just not providing as much information.
Right. And the important piece, I think, that what we're dealing with here is that Brookfield is not just going to lie down. So the chances are they're going to probably take us to the appeals board. And so the attorney basically stated that we should be as prepared as possible. That way they can't contradict, you know what I mean, how we came up with value. We have all 3 approaches done. All 3 approaches were done, and, you know, and so they would have to then hire somebody to give them all 3 approaches as well. So, you know, we either spend it on an assessment or we spend it on attorneys. This is not an easy thing to balance here, but this is kind of what we're dealing with, unfortunately. So, yeah, does anybody else you want to say anything else? Or okay. So that is projects and issues. Anybody have any old business? Seeing none, anybody have any new business? Election Day, for new business, we have Election Day, June 11th, 2024. Doors will open at 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. There will be no selectmen's meeting on June 19th, 2024, in observation of the Juneteenth holiday. And I also will mention that on June 15th, we will have a annual town meeting here in this building. What time is it? 8 o'clock? 9. At 9 o'clock, to vote for our warrant articles that we have available coming up for the next coming fiscal year, July 1st, moving forward. So that is what I have for new business. Moving on to executive orders. Executive Order 242-500-5013, in order to approve an applications for veterans exemption for MAP 3, Lot 0095-1.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That is 4, 1 abstention. Executive Order 242-500-60000, in order to approve the road named Sleepy Hollow Drive, located at MAP 9, Lot 11-14 and 11-15, near Town Farm Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That is unanimous of those present. Executive Order 242-500-60001, in order to appoint Dana G. Deering as election warden for the state of Maine, June 11th, 2024 primary and MSAD 6 elections.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That is unanimous. Any executive orders by initiatives? Seeing none, moving forward on accounts payable and payroll warrant. Executive Order 242-500-6002, in order to approve expenditures as documented in accounts payable warrant number 98.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That is unanimous, and that amount is $863,991.23.
That was the school payment also,
Yep.
part of that. That's why it's so much.
Yeah. Executive Order 242-500-6003, in order to approve expenditures as documented in payroll warrant number 97.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That is unanimous, and that amount is $95,657.66. The next Selectmen's meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 12th, 2024, at 7 p.m. And the next Planning Board meeting will be held on Monday, June 10th, at 7 p.m. And then the annual town meeting will be held Saturday, June 15th, at 9 a.m. Anybody have any other business? Seeing none at this point, I'll take public comments and questions.
Question and then a suggestion. Where's
Can you state your name, Martha, please?
Excuse me, my name is Martha Muldoon. I live in West Buxton. Where are you gonna come up with the $240,000?
So we have set up, some of that is going to be attorney's fees. We have money allocated within the July 1st on attorney's fees, and we did put $60,000 in assessing. And so that's where we're going to grab those resources to do that.
Yeah, but that's more, it's actually gonna be more than you've set aside so far.
Well, that's coming up next year.
Okay, so we won't pay for it this year.
No, we're not paying for that. July 1st is the next year.
Okay, so July 1, we'll have a bill for $240. Is it in the warrants?
Yes, it's, part of that is attorney's fees. We have allocated $250,000 in attorney's fees
Okay.
and $60,000 for assessing. And some of the reason we had such a larger amount on attorney's fees is because of this issue that we're dealing with Brookfield.
Yeah.
And so we're taking some of those attorney's fees to help pay for the assessing, because that's kind of
Yeah, sure.
we were going to use the attorney's fees to fight them. Now we're just going to get a new assessment, so we don't have to fight them kind of scenario.
Here's a suggestion. Every week, you read what the correspondence was. Why?
Because it's on our agenda.
I know it's on your agenda, But why do you have to read it every single time if it's on the agenda? And you talk about, you heard from this person, you heard from that person, you heard from the other person. You never say what it's about, right? You just say, here's the correspondence we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, here's the names. Why bother? If you're not going to go into an explanation of what they are, most of it has to do with your administrative stuff in the town, right?
No, most of the correspondence are, for the most part, are like webinars and things of that nature.
Yeah, which nobody in the town, other than somebody who is working for the town, would be interested in. I would suggest,
Removing them,
get rid of it.
okay?
There's no reason to go into all that and to have to read it off and all that unless it affects the citizens. And for most of the time, because I've been following this, as you know, for 2 years, it doesn't affect the citizens this much. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Dave Harmon, Buxton. When is the bridge being posted, the 1st of July? Or
He didn't give me a specific date, he just said the end of June.
are they gonna post it ahead of time? Are they gonna put anything down there saying Warning Bridge will be posted as of such and such a date so that,
That's a good question, David. We didn't have that conversation. We were just, he said, we're gonna be posting this the end of June, we're just they were coming up with a different route this week, and that's what we discussed. I didn't discuss, are you gonna, you know what I mean?
as
warn
far
people?
as the bridge being posted, is the trucks coming up from Saco and going to the plant, they're empty. That shouldn't affect them at all anyways, because I think
Anything under 25 tons is fine to cross the bridge.
I don't know what they are. I don't believe they're that empty.
They're fine. I don't know, but I believe they're fine if they're empty.
So it's gonna be mostly after they get loaded,
Correct.
and, yeah, I mean, they go south, they'll be much better off than headed north to go
Right, that's
south.
kind of what, when I'm hoping to have a meeting with Heather Printup, who's the liaison for Poland Springs, and say, hey, look, you're loading, just go, you know what I mean? If you're going south, go through Kennebunk. If you're going north, go through Gray, but if you gotta go to Saco, I guess you're gonna have to go down 22. I mean, or
Yeah.
something like that, I don't know, but.
As far as taking the money from legal to pay for assessing, is that legal? I mean, people are gonna be voting on the money for legal purposes, not assessing purposes.
Yeah, but it's a legal matter. This is legal. The reason, we're not doing this assessment just to have an assessment done. We're doing it for legal purposes because we're getting prepared to go to battle legally.
Okay?
You can explain it before the vote easily,
Yeah.
and if people want to vote it. I mean, at this point, we're kind of, have to get the warrant ready so early, and we're pivoting as we go.
Right, we just settled with Brookfield last week. Right, we were preparing to go to court. That's what we were preparing for. Now we've got a settlement. Now they're saying, okay, we need part of the settlement was that we need to come up with a new assessment. And so how do we do that, right? And so we're just, like Tom said, we're pivoting, we're just trying to make it happen. This is in my opinion, it's a legal issue because we're getting prepared to go to court. This is kind of where we're headed.
As far as the tower, how's that? But
Yep,
not the tower,
so-
but the communications, we'll put it that way. It's
I
not
did
the
have
tower.
a conversation with Darren Granata this week. He's been kind of heading that out. And so they ordered I don't know the terminology, but whatever the devices are that they're going to be putting into schools, they've ordered them. They were supposed to be in mid-June here, but then they got to do bench work on them and get them kind of prepared in the hopes that they're going to get it within the 1st of July-ish, 15th of July, in that time frame.
And money-wise, how is that?
So we're under the budgeted $750,000 that we allotted. I don't know exactly where we're at, because we haven't got all the final bills yet. It hasn't, you know, those communication centers that what I'm talking about, we have not been billed for that, so I don't know where we're at on the, but I know that we're under budget.
That's good. I guess that's it for now.
Thank you. All set? Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, at this point, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? That's unanimous, and so, so, there is no executive session, so this meeting is adjourned at 7:30. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, everyone, and have a great evening.